Today I want to take a look at one of the Pokemon that got really buffed recently, which is Clefable. This Pokemon got buffed with the move Meteor Mesh. Meteor Mesh is so much stronger now and so much easier to reach especially. And I haven't given this Pokemon a try yet, and so today is going to be the first time for me at least playing it in the Open Great League as far as I know. And we have a very strong team here. We're going to have a team of Gastro in the lead, the C-Sub of the Jonkus, as well as the Clefable in the back. And the beauty of Clefable is actually the coverage that it has. With the Steel-type coverage, you actually have something that most Pokemon don't have. There is not a lot of good Steel-type coverage, but the meta itself is kind of built around Pokemon that a lot of times are kind of weak to Steel-typing. For example, there are quite a lot of Fairy-type Pokemon around, and honestly, Clefable is feasting on them. Here, by the way, I did perfect energy management against the opponent's Talonflame, which allows me to still go for another Psyshock, which is honestly quite important, because now I'm going to be able to align myself perfectly. They have the Prime Whip in the back, and they sell Clefable, and yeah, that is going to be it for this one. Alright. We're going to have the Toadscruel against us. This is going to be a Pokemon that I have to kind of size up my Clefable into. The reason for this is that my lead is so bad against this Pokemon, and my Clefable is just neutral, but my best answer is by far going to be our Togekiss. And if I somehow can realign myself, that would be beautiful. But we are going to go up against the Steelix, a Pokemon that resists all our damage, as any Steel-type kinda is going to be able to resist the damage of Clefable. But we might still be able to force a shield from them, because what we can do is we can still reach this Meteor Mesh, and I don't think they're going to want to risk losing the alignment. That's exactly what they're going to do, which now allows me to get into my Gastron, get a bit of an energy lead, and then swap out into my Togekiss. I expect a Bastion in the back, and there is a Bastion in the back, but Togekiss has access to our Sphere here, which is going to do double super effective damage against the opponent. And with that, the opponent actually had enough here after this one, and they decided to forfeit, which I don't really understand. I feel like there was still definitely a chance for them to win this battle. Fantastic lead, but also just generally a fantastic Pokemon for this team. We're going to go up against a Shell Tyranta in the Open Great League. Fun Pokemon to run. Again, we are in the interlude season here, which is going to be just generally where you're going to run a little bit more fun, which I enjoy as well. Like, I personally are running a lot of times some funny Pokemon on this channel, like literally today, Glamora, a Pokemon that just nearly got released. If you haven't seen the video towards it, check it out. It is breaking the camera angle so far. But in comes here the Gogas from the opponent. Luckily, they decided to swap into this Pokemon now, because what I have here is the option to keep some energy on my Togekiss for laydown, which is going to be great. But also, I'm going to be able to now utilize my Clefable a little bit better. I can shield up the opponent's Shadow Ball, which is quite useful, because what we can have to do is we have to kind of get rid of the Gourgeist. Gourgeist is the Pokemon I'm most worried about, not so much the Tyranitar. And we all see here the Shadow Ball going to connect. It's going to get us low, but in comes the Tyranitar, and they're very likely just going to sacrifice this Pokemon. I can't see them using a shield here. Tyranitar did absolutely zero for the opponent, but this is exactly what he kind of wanted to have anyway. But in comes now the opponent's Seed Bomb, doing some stall damage after the lag against our Gastrodon, but we have to try to get some of the shield. This is, by the way, the most silliest play I've ever done. I should have just went for the Body Slam, because I would have got another Body Slam most likely as well. But the opponent just decided to go for a charge move anyway, which helps me out big time, because now I don't have to worry about anything. I can go for the BM move, I can go for the Aura Sphere, I just do it for fun. I knew that the other move would have been better, of course, but we're just here for fun. And if it works, I would say. And we're going to have the Jellicent against us, a Pokemon that's actually quite difficult for us to deal with. And Jellicent itself is one of the strongest Pokemon in the current meta. We've seen it actually even in the recent regionals. This Pokemon was doing fantastic. I think it won the last regional as well. So like, it makes a lot of sense that this Pokemon is here. It's one of the strongest Pokemon currently. And it's a Pokemon that I feel like kind of needs a little bit of attention in terms of balancing. Like, the Jellicent itself is not going to sweep an entire team, at least most of the times, unless you're going to have a team of like just, I don't know, ground and psychic type Pokemon. But it's going to be a Pokemon that is going to be very difficult to remove from the field, while it still hits you hard for a lot of damage, as it generates energy super fast with Hex, as well as having Surf and Shadow Ball as good coverage. It's going to be quite difficult sometimes to deal with. But here the Credillia is coming in, and we're going to try our best to go for the full Fardown. In comes the Jellicent. It's going to take down our Gastrodon here, and we are in a very tough spot, because what we have to do is we have to kind of get rid of them with our Togekiss. But now I'm worried, because I let them move go here. I was expecting that they would shield. They're going to reveal that they're going to have in the back actually the Wigglytuff, and I should have went for at least like one more fast move, I guess, against the opponent's Jellicent, because we are missing out on one fast move in order to get to a charge move. But the issue is that the opponent was just able to debuff us with the Icy Wind. We are going to be able to go for another Meteor Mesh here, which is going to allow us to knock them out. Or is it? It's not a stab move, basically. It's a very strong move, but it's not a stab move, and it's going to be able to do a lot of damage against the Wigglytuff, but it's not going to be enough to knock it out. Okay, next opponent. We're going to face off, a very neutral lead. They stop out into the Togekiss, into the Florges, and comes our Clefable. This is showtime. This is where we want to be. This is where we're gonna shine. This is where Meteor Mash is just going to make such a difference. Meteor Mash is a 100 damage move, and it showcases here right now the power of this move. As you can see, the Trailblaze coming in now from the opponent, that is fine by us, because what we can do next is we can go ahead and go for another Meteor Mash, which is going to do some nice damage against the opponent, just dropping them a little bit lower, as I can go into our Gastron. And this is the reason why I went into the Gastron instead of my flying type, is because I swapped out in the beginning, which kind of let me know that there's something in the back that's actually quite solid against Gastron, in this case their own Togekiss. But I was utilizing the energy that I gained earlier in order to use a charge for there to get the shield from the opponent. And here I want to see first on how much a Psyshock is doing. We will never know, because the opponent is going to decide to shield this move up. But in comes the next Psyshock from the opponent. We are going to be able to go for another Psyshock here as well, which is going to now connect against the Togekiss, which is super important. We need to get rid of this Togekiss as soon as possible, but they swap out into the Marowak. I can catch the move. I know I can take a hit here still, and I should be able to knock them out even with a Body Slam after those Mud Slaps. And this Body Slam is coming in now. This should be enough to knock out the opponent's Marowak. This is going to be enough to get that KO, and in comes the Togekiss, which you can farm down. But as we see here, we can move on now to the next opponent. Alright, the Ferret is one of those Pokemon where I rather swap out into my Clefable, because I know that my Togekiss has such a better matchup. And we see them staying in here, which I found quite interesting, because now I win the Zero Shield scenario as a Clefable. I don't win any other shield scenario. So that is what I'm kind of trying to play for, as he got the opponent super low and I decided to use a shield. That was not needed. I should have just listened to what I'm just saying and went ahead and just went for a charge move and just no shielded, because I would have got a shield advantage. But it's alright, because nowadays we're going to be able to align ourselves, and we're going to see that they have a Gastron in the back, which is not going to enjoy any kind of damage from our Clefable. This is going to do some... Okay, they're going to shield. That's fine. That is okay. The issue is they have now an energy lead against our own Gastron, and that's going to be a bit of a tough one. We're going to be able to let the move go. It's going to be the Water Pulse doing some quite significant damage against us, or we can go for our own Water Pulse to see what the opponent wants to do here next. They decided to use a shield, and at this point I was just hoping, please go for a charge move, and they go for a charge move. Why is that so important? Because I need to kinda utilize now my Togekiss in order to win in this battle, otherwise I'm going to lose. And so I have to use a shield here and to protect my Togekiss as much as I can, hoping that I'm going to be able to get out of here with an advantage. And the only advantage that I was able to get at this point is, of course, the energy advantage. But is it enough to win the battle? It's going to be very close. They're going to have the Wigglytuff in the back. We already lost against Wigglytuff once. Do we lose against Wigglytuff twice? It does not look like this, because what we have here is a lot of damage from Togekiss, and the next Aura Sphere is going to be able to take them out, and we can move on to the next opponent, where we will face a Florges. This Pokemon is difficult, but what you do here is you go for 3 fast moves and then swap. Why? Because in theory, at least, you are going to be able to align your fast move perfectly to the opponent. So if they go for their own charge move against your Togekiss, you're going to be able to sneak in a free fast move basically in the beginning, because you're going to be so far behind energy anyway that basically always going to happen. But in this case here, the opponent is actually deciding to go into a Stunfisk, which is very unfortunate for us, because we don't have a great matchup here with the Togekiss, and I'm not able to swap out by only a few seconds. They go for the discharge, doing a ton of damage to us, and at this point I'm just like, yeah, go for any charge move. I don't really care too much about it. I'm just going to farm you down, because I want the energy for later on, and we have here the Water Pulse coming through, doing nothing against the Oranguru. Oranguru is an interesting Pokemon, and this was fast. This was a very fast, and it was a brutal swing. And with that, we can still reach yet another charge move. We're gonna go down after this confusion, but now it's all down to our final Pokemon, the Clefable. But I'm actually quite hopeful that at the current health range from the opponent's Oranguru, there might be in range for just a one singular Moonblast. And we're gonna see if this is going to be the case now. As the Moonblast is going to land here against the opponent, it does a ton of damage and it's going to be enough to take down the opponent's Oranguru with all of their boost. And we can utilize our shields finally here against the opponent's Florges, where you can go for the shield and then go for the Meteor Mesh, but they can't catch the move, and this is absolutely horrendous for us, because there's going to be now the stun fisk against us and we're going to be forced to go for another charge move. But luckily we're actually going to get this move off before they can get to their own charge move themselves, which is actually perfect, because now I am going to be able to knock them out and I can still try my best to go for another Meteor Mesh, which I can do, and win the battle with that. Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff is actually a fantastic, okay, not a fantastic, it's a playable lead, is what I want to say here. Now you can just go for the charge moves whenever, because at the end of the day we have a 3-turn fast move user against a 3-turn fast move user, which means that no matter who's going to go for the charge move here, there's always going to be something sneaking through, and that is fine. This is absolutely fine. As the Ice Wind is coming in, we are going to be able to go ahead and go for the Aura Sphere against them and hope for the best that they don't decide to use a shield. But they decided to use a shield, and with that we are going to be forced to do the same. As an Icy Wind would drop us too low, we are going to use a shield here and we are going to be forced to go for a charge move, but they're going to swap out into my nemesis for this team, the Jellicent. It's a Pokemon that doesn't seem to be that difficult on paper, but honestly, while playing, it was quite difficult. But what we can do now is absolutely fantastic. We can catch the move on to our Gastrodon. I even had the option here to go into my own Clefable, trying to go for basically the Moonblast now to knock them out, which maybe would have been the better play, but I'm very certain the opponent would have guaranteed outsped me, so I didn't really want to take any more damage, and I can knock them out and hope for the best here. But they're going to have the Wigglytuff in the back and they can go for the Icy Wind now. And this debuff will stuck with me for the entire rest of the battle, and against the Brayon, this is looking a little bit dicey. Are we going to still be able to win this? It's going to be super, super close. Brayon is not going to be a fairy-type Pokemon, by the way. It is running Charm, but it doesn't have Stab on that one. But also it's just generally an interesting Pokemon. As you see here, the Meteor Mesh is going to be able to knock them out, and in comes the Wigglytuff, knocks us out, and we suddenly barely lose, but just only a few HP. Second to last battle. What we face off here is a Jellicent. Jellicent is a very tough Pokemon for us to deal with, again, as we said already earlier. And so we're gonna go for the Water Pulse, barely taking any damage against the opponent there. But what we can do is we can take a hit as well, a Shadow Ball even, and we just slap them down. But as you see, we can now swap out as well at this point into Mercedes, because they're going to be fine now against it. We're going to be able to go for the Aura Sphere here against the opponent's Wigglytuff. I can go for another Aura Sphere against the opponent's Wigglytuff. This Pokemon is not taking anything here. They're going to have to use a shield, and we are going to use most of the shield ourselves as well. What shield here? Exactly. This is going to be fine. We're going to have the Swift coming in from the opponent, and we can go for another Aura Sphere, which is going to be enough to take down the opponent's Wigglytuff. Let's see who's coming in next. It is going to be the opponent's Jellicent. That is going to be a Pokemon that I just don't really enjoy, but we can still use our lead. But now they swap out into the Annihilate. And Annihilate is not going to enjoy this matchup against our Clefable at all. As we see here, the Rage is going to connect. We can let the first move go. Of course, they're going to boost themselves up afterwards, and we can go for the Meteor Mesh spam. We should be even able to outspeed them, but they should be able to win the CMP tie against us. And this is exactly what's going to happen. But what is going to happen after this is that we're going to be able to get rid indefinitely from the Annihilate from the opponent here, which is perfect, as the Meteor Mesh is going to land and knock them out, and in comes the Gastrodon against the Jellicent. But sadly, I'm not going to be able to reach another move. And now it's all down to our other Pokemon, down to our Clefable. If we can reach the move in time, and we can, literally last second, the opponent was on their 4th cycle to get to another Surf, which is super rare, and that was fantastic for us. Alright, final battle. Fantastic lead, fantastic saves up for ourselves. Greninja is a Pokemon I need to find a new team around as well. But yeah, Shadow Greninja here against us. We're going to be able to shield up the opponent's Hydro Cannon. And the thing is here, which makes this matchup so much better for ourselves, is I know I'm going to be able to align myself. I know guaranteed I should be able to align myself. If I just shield up once more here, I'm going to be able to go for the full farm down just with a Fairy Wind. And this is the issue of Greninja. While yes, you're going to be able to pick up maybe 1 or 2 more KOs in certain matchups, you're also going to be so much frailer. And we have here now the matchup of Tinkaton against us. We can now even catch the move from the opponent, which works out beautifully. The player was going to be caught, and this is the reason why I caught the move, because I knew there's going to be yet another answer towards our Pokemon there, and that is going to be fine because I needed to kind of bait it out. We see here the Ferret going even for another charge move, which is perfect for us actually. This is okay, we can just go for the KO now with our Togekiss. And Togekiss is the Pokemon that I want to see and try to sweep the game with. Togekiss has a lot of potential with the energy advantage that we have now. And the final Pokemon, of course, is going to be the Tinkaton, which is going to be a Steel type. And so it's going to do some neutral damage here, as the Fairy typing is going to resist the Fairy type damage. But the Steel type is going to make it all so much better for ourselves, as we are going to be able to get the final shield. But I know at this point there's basically no way that we're going to lose the battle, as we are so close to the charge move as well with our other Pokemon here, with the Clefable. We actually have it stored already. And that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I will see you then. Bye bye.